Sergeant Adam Brooks stumbled through the dense forest, his breathing heavy, his body aching. The battle had been fierce, and the enemy had been relentless. Adam's uniform was torn, blood soaked his side, and his vision blurred from the pain. Yet, he pushed forward. He had a mission, a duty. The war between humans and the alien Zenthari had raged for years. Adam had seen countless battles, each one taking its toll. But this one felt different. The Zenthari had been getting smarter, faster, and their attacks more coordinated. It was only a matter of time before they overwhelmed humanity. But Adam wasn't thinking about the war right now. He wasn't thinking about the fight or his comrades back at the base. Right now, all that mattered was getting out of this hellish place. If he could make it to the human-held zone just a few kilometers away, he'd be safe. And so would the child. His eyes flickered to the small, trembling figure in his arms. It was an alien child, no more than 7 or 8 years old, with skin that shimmered faintly under the dim light of the forest. The child had been left behind during a Zenthari ambush, and Adam had made the split-second decision to carry her to safety. He couldn't explain why. He didn't even know who she was, or why she was alone in this war zone. But her wide, fearful eyes and fragile form stirred something in Adam. It felt like he had no choice. With each step, Adam's legs threatened to give out. His side was on fire from the wound, and blood dripped steadily onto the ground, leaving a trail behind him. His pulse raced, his mind clouded by the pain, but he couldn't stop. Not now. Not when he had this child to protect. The forest seemed to close in around him, the sounds of distant explosions and gunfire fading away. It was as though time itself had slowed down, leaving only Adam and the child in this endless world of trees and shadows. He glanced down at the girl, who was still silent. Her big dark eyes stared up at him with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Adam wasn't sure if she could understand him, but he couldn't help talking to her. "We're gonna make it. Just hold on, kid. I'll get you out of here." The child blinked, her lips trembling, but she didn't speak. Her soft alien features seemed almost fragile, like they could break at any moment. Adam had no idea what her species was called, or if she even had a name. He looked at her again, this time with a strange feeling rising in his chest. He had always been a soldier, trained to fight and survive. But this felt different. This wasn't about fighting an enemy. It was about saving someone who couldn't protect herself. The silence of the forest was broken by the sound of footsteps, heavy and deliberate. Adam's heart skipped a beat. He froze, his body tensing as he listened. The sound was close. Too close. There was no time to hide, no time to run. He had to keep moving. "Please," Adam whispered, his voice strained with exhaustion. "Just a little longer." The footsteps grew louder, and suddenly a figure appeared in front of him. It was another soldier, human, but dressed in the dark armor of the enemy forces. The soldier raised a weapon, aiming it directly at Adam. His finger hovered over the trigger. Adam's instincts kicked in. He moved, rolling to the side with the child in his arms. The enemy soldier's shot missed, but Adam didn't have time to celebrate. He scrambled to his feet, pushing himself onward, deeper into the woods. The child gasped as he ran, her small hands clutching him tightly. Adam gritted his teeth against the pain, but he couldn't stop now. Not when he was so close. Another shot rang out, but Adam didn't look back. The enemy soldier was behind him, chasing him, but Adam was faster. He zigzagged through the trees, the thick foliage offering some protection from the shots that followed. His mind raced, adrenaline flooding, his veins pushing him forward. But as he ran, the pain from his wound grew worse. His vision blurred again, his body threatening to collapse. He was so close to losing it. But then, through the blur of pain and exhaustion, he saw it, just ahead. The clearing, the human zone. With one final burst of energy, Adam sprinted through. The clearing, the distant sounds of the battle growing louder. He had made it. He collapsed to his knees, his breath ragged, the weight of the child still in his arms. Adam barely registered the soldiers who rushed to his side. They helped him up, pulling him toward the safety of the base, but Adam barely noticed. His thoughts were still with the alien child in his arms. She had made it too. She was safe for now. And somehow, Adam knew that this was only the beginning of something much larger than he could ever understand. Adam's body ached as he was helped into the small medical tent, the faint hum of machines and the low murmur of voices filling the air. His hands shook as they tried to assess his injuries, but his mind was still on the child. She was still in, his arms, her small figure trembling slightly. The soldiers in the tent had been quick to act, carefully lifting him onto a bed and beginning to treat his wounds. But even with the medics working fast, Adam couldn't stop looking down at the alien child in his arms. She was still silent, her eyes wide and watching the room with a mixture of fear and curiosity. "She's safe, Sergeant," one of the medics said gently as they worked on Adam's side. "We'll take care of you, but you need to rest." Adam nodded, but his thoughts weren't on himself. The enemy forces would be looking for him, for the child. They would stop at nothing to capture her. She was important. He didn't know how or why, but there was no doubt in his mind that the child had to be protected. The child had been the only thing keeping him going through the forest. Every step he took, every time the pain in his side threatened to overwhelm him, he kept thinking of her. He couldn't leave her behind. It wasn't just about the mission anymore. It was about her. His mind wandered back to the moment when he first found her, alone, cold, scared. He didn't understand why she was there or how she survived the Zenthari attack, but one thing was certain. She needed him. His eyes flickered, back to the child. She hadn't moved since they arrived. She was still sitting in the corner of the small tent, staring at the busy soldiers and medics with wide, curious eyes. Adam had tried speaking to her when they first arrived, but she hadn't responded. The child's silence was unnerving, but Adam didn't press her. She had already been through too much. A soft, almost unnoticeable movement caught his attention. The child shifted slightly, looking over her shoulder toward the entrance of the tent. Adam followed her gaze and froze. A woman stood at the entrance, tall and imposing, her features hidden under a dark hood. She wore strange, intricately designed armor, and her eyes, though obscured, glowed faintly beneath the shadows. Adam instinctively tensed, reaching for his weapon, but the woman didn't approach. She simply watched. The child's eyes widened at the sight of the woman, and a soft gasp escaped her lips. It was a reaction Adam didn't understand. Who was this woman? Why was the child so afraid? The woman stepped forward, her movements graceful, almost otherworldly. The soldiers at the medical station didn't seem to notice her at first, but Adam's instincts told him she wasn't here for friendly reasons. "She has found us," the woman's voice rang out, clear and firm. It wasn't loud, but there was a quiet power behind every word. Adam's grip on his weapon tightened, but the woman's gaze never wavered. There was something strangely familiar about her, as though she was connected to the child in some way that Adam couldn't comprehend. The woman stepped closer, and the child's eyes locked onto hers. For the first time since Adam had found her, the child moved. She stood up slowly, her eyes fixed on the woman, and then, without a word, walked toward her. Adam's heart pounded in his chest. Who was this woman? And why was the child so drawn to her? "She is mine," the woman said softly, her voice trembling with emotion. "I am Suri, mother to the one you carry." Adam blinked in confusion. "Mother? You're her mother?" Suri nodded, her face softening for the first time. "Yes. And you saved her life." The words didn't make sense to Adam. How had he Saved her life? He was just a soldier, carrying the child because he couldn't bear to leave her behind. But now, standing before him, the woman was claiming the child as her own. The child stood silently next to Suri, her eyes never leaving Adam. There was a deep connection between them, something Adam couldn't place, something he didn't understand. It was as if they were bound by an invisible thread, one that was pulling them together. And yet, Adam felt an overwhelming need to protect both of them. "I don't understand," Adam said, his voice rough from exhaustion. "Who are you? What do you want with her?" Suri's gaze softened as she looked at Adam, then at the child. "My daughter's kind. They are the last of our people. The war is about to take everything from us. But this child, she is our future." "She is the last hope." Adam felt a chill run down his spine. "The last hope?" he repeated, his mind racing. "What do you mean?" Suri's eyes locked onto his, and for a moment Adam saw something ancient and powerful behind her calm exterior. "I know you don't understand," she said quietly, "but you have a choice to make. The life you saved, it will not come without consequences." Adam's breath caught in his throat. "Consequences?" "Yes." Suri's voice was firm, but her eyes held a plea that Adam couldn't ignore. "You must bond with her. You must protect her. For the future of both our kinds, you must become one with us." Adam took a step back, his mind a swirl of confusion. A bond? What was she talking about? Was she asking him to... Before Adam could respond, Suri turned her attention back to the child who had taken her hand. A strange energy seemed to pulse between them, as if some invisible force was at work. And in that moment, Adam realized his life would never be the same. He had crossed a line he couldn't return from. The days passed quickly as Adam recovered, his wound slowly healing under the careful care of the medical team. But even as his body regained strength, his mind was full of questions, questions that had no answers. Who was the woman, Suri? What did she mean by bonding? And why was the child so important? These were things Adam couldn't understand, but the answers seemed so close, just beyond his reach. Suri had not left his side since that day in the medical tent. She was a constant presence, watching over the child and Adam with a quiet intensity. That made him uneasy. He wasn't sure if she trusted him or if she was simply waiting for something, but it was clear that something important was about to happen, and Adam was beginning to realize that he was no longer just a soldier in a war. He had become part of something much bigger. One afternoon, as Adam sat near a small fire just outside the base, Suri approached him. She was calm, her movements smooth, like a woman who had lived for centuries and seen more than her fair share of battles. She didn't speak at first, just stood there, watching him. "Sergeant Brooks," Suri said softly, her voice carrying an air of authority. "We need to talk." Adam glanced up at her, his brow furrowing. "About what?" She sat down next to him, her gaze never leaving his. The child was not with her, but Adam could feel her presence, like a shadow just out of sight. "About what you have done for my daughter." Adam shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't do much. I just carried her out of the war zone. She was alone." Suri's eyes softened, but her expression remained serious. "You saved her life. That is no small thing. In our world, saving a life is not something we take lightly." He nodded, unsure of where this conversation was heading. "I don't understand. You said she's the last of your kind. What does that mean?" Suri hesitated, then sighed. "My people, the Veyari, are not like humans. We are a race born of the stars, tied to the very fabric of the universe. Long ago, we were many, but the wars, the hatred, the greed, they have all but wiped us out. My daughter is the last of our kind, the last hope for our people." Adam shook his head, trying to process her words. "So, You're telling me that this child, she's the future of your entire race? Yes, Suri replied, her voice tinged with sadness. The Veyari are unique. We are connected to the energy of the stars. We can see the future, sense the threads of life and death, and when we die, we pass our knowledge into the next generation. But my daughter, she is more than that. She is the key to our survival. Adam leaned forward, his curiosity growing. What do you mean, the key? Suri's eyes met his, and for a brief moment, Adam felt like she was peering into his very soul. My people can no longer survive alone. We need others, humans or aliens, to help us. The bond I speak of. It is the only way. Without it, my daughter will never fulfill her potential, and without her, my people will be lost forever. Adam swallowed, trying to process what she was saying. And what do you want from me? Suri looked at him, her gaze hardening, but there was a sadness behind it. I want you to bond with her, to protect her, to ensure that her power is unlocked, that her future is secure. Without you, she will never know her true potential. Adam's mind raced. A bond? He couldn't even begin to understand what that meant. He was a soldier, a human. What did he know about bonding with an alien child? And why did Suri think he was the one to do it? You're asking me to become part of this? Adam's voice was barely above a whisper. You want me to bond with your daughter and somehow help your people survive? Suri nodded, her expression unwavering. Yes, the bond is not just for protection. It is a union. You will share your strength with her, and she will share her power with you. It is not just an agreement. It is an understanding. The power of the stars flows through her, and through you, we can ensure that she is safe, that she is protected. Adam's heart raced as he tried to process what she was saying. But what does it mean for me? What do I have to do? Suri's eyes softened for a brief moment, but her voice remained firm. You will protect her, and in return, you will gain something, strength, power, and knowledge beyond what you can imagine. Your connection will grow stronger over time, and you will learn things that no one else can. But it comes at a price. Adam's brow furrowed. A price? What kind of price? Suri's expression grew somber. The bond is not without sacrifice. Once it is formed, there is no going back. You will be tied to my daughter, connected in a way that cannot be undone. If she is hurt, you will feel it. If she suffers, you will suffer too. Your fate will be linked to hers forever. Adam felt a chill run down his spine. He had always been a soldier, always ready to face the dangers of war. But this was different. His life, his very existence, would be tied to an alien child and the future of a race he had only just met. Was it worth the risk? Suri seemed to sense his hesitation and continued. I understand that this is difficult for you, but you are the only one who can protect her now. You are the only one who can help her fulfill her destiny. Adam looked at Suri, then back at the child. She was the last of her kind. The weight of her future rested on his shoulders. Could he live with the responsibility? Could he protect her and help her survive? Was he willing to risk everything for someone he barely knew? In the end, Adam knew one thing for certain. He couldn't let her die. He couldn't let her future be destroyed. He would protect her no matter the cost. He took a deep breath and nodded slowly. I'll do it. I'll bond with her. Suri's expression softened, and for the first time, Adam saw a hint of relief in her eyes. Thank you, Sergeant Brooks. You have made the right choice. The decision was made. Adam had agreed to the bond. He wasn't sure what he had gotten himself into, but the weight of the choice pressed heavily on his chest. The child, Suri's daughter, stood a few feet away, her small form trembling slightly. Though she said nothing, she had been quiet since arriving at the base, but Adam could sense her watching him, waiting. Shuri had given him some time to think, but the reality of the situation hadn't hit Adam until now. What did this bond mean? How would it change his life? And most importantly, how could he protect her, this alien child who seemed so fragile, yet so important? Shuri had said the bond would protect the child, help her reach her true potential. But what did that mean for him? He was just a human soldier, nothing special. He had been trained for combat, not for something as strange and mysterious as this. But now, he was about to become part of something larger than himself. A protector, a partner. His fate was tied to hers, and it was too late to turn back. Are you ready? Suri's voice was calm, but there was an edge to it, an expectation. She had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Adam nodded, his throat dry. I don't know what to expect, but I'll do my best. Suri stepped closer, her expression unreadable. The bond is more than just a promise. It will connect your soul to hers. The child is the last of our kind, and her power is unlike anything you've ever seen. But it must be unlocked, and that is where you come in. Adam's eyes flickered to the child again. She was standing quietly, her gaze fixed on him. She was so small, so fragile, but Adam could see the quiet strength in her eyes. There was something ancient about her, something beyond her years. She had seen too much, and yet she had lived through it all. Shuri raised her hand, her palm facing Adam. Come closer, she instructed softly. We must begin. Adam hesitated for only a moment before he slowly moved toward her. As he did, the child took a small step forward as well, her tiny hand reaching toward his. Her fingers brushed his skin, and for a moment, everything seemed to stop. Adam felt a chill run down his spine. It was as if the air itself had changed. Something was different. He looked at the child and saw something in her eyes. A silent plea. She was trusting him, and in that moment he realized how much that trust meant. Suri's voice broke through his thoughts. You must place your hand on hers. The connection will be formed through touch. Once it is made, you will both feel the bond. Adam did as he was told, his hand resting gently on the child's. The instant his skin touched hers, a strange warmth spread through him. It was not just physical warmth. It was deeper, almost like a pull in his chest. It felt like his very being was being drawn into hers. His heartbeat quickened, and for a moment he couldn't breathe. The child's eyes closed, and Adam felt something shift. A surge of energy, so powerful and so pure, washed over him. His vision blurred, his senses overwhelmed by the force of it. He felt like he was floating, disconnected from his body. He could hear voices, whispers from a distant place, ancient. Voices, like echoes from the stars themselves. The warmth grew, spreading through his body until it reached every corner of his soul. It was as though he was seeing the universe in its entirety, its vastness, its beauty, and its darkness. For a moment, Adam understood everything. He felt the pull of the stars, the weight of the galaxy, and the delicate balance between life and death. He felt the child's heart beating with the rhythm of the cosmos, and he understood her purpose. But just as suddenly, the warmth faded, and Adam found himself standing back in the room, his heart racing. The connection was made. The bond was real. He gasped for air, his hands trembling. He looked down at the child, who was now staring at him with wide, knowing eyes. She had felt it too. Adam could see the change in her. She was no longer just a frightened child. She was something more, something powerful. Suri stepped forward, her expression softening. It is done. The bond has been formed. You are now linked. She will protect you, and you will protect her. The strength of the stars will guide you both. Adam didn't know what to say. The experience had been overwhelming. He had never felt anything like it in his life. It was as though the child had opened something inside of him, a door to a deeper understanding, one that he couldn't quite explain. But despite the confusion, one thing was clear. He had a duty. He had a responsibility. He couldn't back out now. The child's life, and the future of an entire race, was in his hands. Suri looked at him closely, as if she could see the thoughts running through his mind. You must not forget that this bond is a gift, but it is also a burden. You will share everything with her, the pain, the joy, the fear. But you will also share her strength. Adam nodded slowly, absorbing her words. It was a lot to take in, but he understood. This was bigger than any war he had fought. It was bigger than anything he had ever known. He wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was fighting for something much greater than himself. The child's hand was still resting in his, and Adam felt the bond deepening with every passing second. The child squeezed his fingers gently, a silent promise. She trusted him, and in that moment Adam knew that he would protect her with everything he had. Thank you, he whispered, barely aware that he had spoken the words aloud. Suri nodded, her expression softening. Thank you for accepting the bond. Now, you are part of something much larger than the two of you. But remember, nothing will be easy from here on out. The enemies you once fought will seek to destroy this child. You must be prepared for what comes next. Adam turned his gaze to the child, his heart swelling with a newfound sense of purpose. I will protect her. I promise. Days passed, and Adam slowly adjusted to the bond he had formed with the child. Her name was Ilya, though she rarely spoke. The connection between them grew stronger each day, and Adam felt a strange mixture of strength and vulnerability. He could feel her presence inside him, her thoughts sometimes brushing against his mind, though she did not yet speak them. It was a quiet connection, like the distant hum of a star far away. But it was always there. He had learned more about Ilya and her people, the Veyari from Suri. The Veyari were an ancient race, one that had been connected to the stars themselves, able to draw strength and power from the universe. Their people were known for their wisdom and their ability to see into the future, to feel the pulse of the galaxy. But their numbers had dwindled, and now only Ilya remained, the last of her kind. Adam's role in all of this was still unclear. He had agreed to protect Ilya, to help her reach her potential, but how he was supposed to do that was beyond him. Suri had said that the bond would unlock her true power, but Adam had yet to see any sign of it. Ilya remained quiet, her eyes often distant, as though she were searching for something that only she could see. But then, one evening, everything changed. Adam and Ilya were walking near the base when a loud explosion shook the ground. The sky above them turned a deep red as smoke and fire filled the air. Soldiers scrambled to their positions, shouting orders, but Adam's attention was fixed on Ilya. He could feel her fear, the weight of her anxiety pressing against him like a storm. She looked up at him, her wide eyes full of confusion and dread. She didn't speak, but Adam could feel her questions, her uncertainty. What was happening? Why was the war so close? Adam's heart pounded as he knelt beside her. Ilya, stay close. We need to get to safety. But before he could move, another explosion shook the ground, sending dust and debris flying into the air. Adam grabbed Ilya's hand, pulling her close as the chaos unfolded around them. The base was under attack. He could feel it. The energy. In the air, the rush of panic, the fury of the enemy forces. The Zenthari were here. They had come for Ilya. The soldiers at the base were already on the defensive, their weapons raised as they fought back the alien invaders. Adam moved quickly, using his training to help those around him, directing them to safer positions, organizing the defense. But all the while, his thoughts were with Ilya. She was still too young to understand the full scope of the danger they were in. But she felt it. He could feel it too, a deep, primal connection to her fear. "We need to get to Suri," Adam said, his voice calm but urgent. "She'll know what to do." They ran through the base, Adam keeping Ilya close to him. The explosions continued, the sound of gunfire echoing through the air. It wasn't just the base that was under attack. The enemy. Forces were everywhere, surrounding them, trying to break through the defenses. Adam's mind raced. They were outnumbered, and the Zenthari forces were relentless. But there was something else he felt too, something he hadn't quite understood before. It was the bond. He could feel it now, the strength of it growing as the battle raged on. Ilya's power was awakening, even if she didn't fully understand it yet. They reached Suri, who was standing near a small command center, her eyes focused on the battle unfolding outside. She didn't look at Adam right away, but when she did, her gaze was sharp. "You feel it, don't you?" Suri asked, her voice steady despite the chaos. "The child's power, it is awakening." Adam nodded. "I feel it. Ilya, she's scared. I can feel it. But there's something else too. Her power. It's stronger than I thought." Suri's eyes softened for a moment, but her expression quickly hardened. "It is not just her power that you must protect. It is her future. If the Zenthari capture her, they will use her power against us. We cannot allow that to happen." Adam felt a surge of energy. He could sense the urgency in Suri's words, but he also felt the weight of his own responsibility. The battle outside was only the beginning. The Zenthari had been after Ilya for far too long, and now it seemed like they were closing in on her. "I won't let them take her," Adam said, his voice filled with determination. Suri nodded, her expression grim. "We need to prepare for what's coming. The Zenthari are not just here for the child. They want to end this war, and they will stop at nothing to do it." Suddenly, a loud noise interrupted their conversation. A sharp crack followed by a deafening explosion. The ground shook beneath them as the base's defenses were breached. The Zenthari had made their move. "Get to the underground bunkers," Suri ordered. "Take Ilya with you. I will hold off the enemy for as long as I can." Adam turned to her, his heart racing. "No, we stay together. We protect her, all of us." Suri's eyes locked with his, and for the first time, there was a hint of uncertainty in her gaze. "If you are to protect the child, you must be willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. The Zenthari will stop at nothing to take her. You must be prepared to fight and to die if it comes to that." Adam felt the weight of her words, but his resolve only grew stronger. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was something more. He was a protector, and he would fight for Ilya, no matter the cost. The battle raged on outside, but Adam was ready. He had made his choice, and he would not let the Zenthari take Ilya, not without a fight. The battle outside the base intensified. Explosions rocked the ground, shaking the walls of the command center. The Zenthari were everywhere, their dark forms moving quickly through the smoke and dust, their weapons flashing as they attacked. The human forces fought bravely, but they were outnumbered. The enemy was relentless, determined to break through the defenses. Adam stood at the front of the base, Ilya by his side. He could feel her fear, her uncertainty. But there was something else, something he had only begun to understand. The bond they shared. It was growing stronger, and with it, he felt her power. The strength of the stars pulsed through him, a force he had never known before. It was like nothing he had ever experienced. "Ilya," Adam said, kneeling down to her level, "stay close. We need to keep moving. We can't let them capture you." Ilya looked up at him, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and trust. She didn't speak, but Adam could feel the connection between them, stronger than ever. She was ready. Her power, the power of her people, was awakening. The Zenthari were closing in, their forces tightening around the base. Adam's mind raced. They had to protect Ilya, but how? How could they fight an enemy so powerful, so determined? Then, it happened. Ilya raised her small hand, her eyes closed in concentration. Adam felt a surge of energy flow through him, as if the very air around them had thickened. The bond between them pulsed with life, and for the first time, Adam felt the full strength of Ilya's power. It was like a burst of light, brilliant, overwhelming, and unstoppable. The Zenthari forces faltered. They stopped, their weapons raised, unsure of what was happening. Adam's heart pounded in his chest as he looked at Ilya. She was glowing, a faint, otherworldly light surrounding her. The energy radiating from her was unlike anything Adam had ever felt before. It was raw, powerful, and ancient. Suri appeared. At Adam's side, her eyes filled with pride and something deeper, something older. "It has begun," she whispered. "The child's power is awakening. She is the last of our kind, but she is also the key to the future." Adam felt the weight of her words, but he didn't have time to dwell on them. The Zenthari were regrouping. They had already felt the change, and they were preparing for another assault. They wouldn't give up easily. "Ilya, listen to me," Adam said, his voice firm but gentle. "You have to stay focused. You have to help us stop them." Ilya's eyes flickered open. She looked at him, her small hand still raised, and for a moment Adam saw something in her eyes, something powerful, something beyond her years. She understood. She knew what she had to do. The ground beneath their feet began to shake. A low rumble echoed through the base as Ilya's power grew stronger. The Zenthari forces started to retreat, falling back in fear. The soldiers on both sides watched in awe as the child's power began to spread, filling the air with a strange, electric energy. Adam could feel the change. He could feel Ilya's power coursing through him, connecting them in a way he never thought possible. It was as if the stars themselves were alive inside of her, and through their bond, they were alive inside of him as well. The Zenthari weren't going to give up easily, though. They regrouped, ready to launch another attack. Adam knew it was only a matter of time before they would return in full force. But for now, they had a moment of peace, a brief pause before the next wave of battle. "Ilya," Adam said softly, looking down at her. "You're incredible, but we need to be ready. The war isn't over." Ilya nodded, her expression serious, her power still crackling in the air. She understood. The battle was just beginning. The Zenthari forces regrouped quickly, and Adam's soldiers readied themselves for the next wave. There was no turning back now. This was a fight for survival, for the future of not just humanity, but for the Veyari as well. Ilya, the last of her kind, had the power to change everything, but she wasn't alone anymore. She had Adam, and together, they would fight. The Zenthari advanced once again, their weapons raised, their eyes filled with fury. But Ilya didn't hesitate. With a single motion, she raised her hand, and the air around her shimmered with energy. A wave of force erupted from her, powerful and unstoppable, pushing the Zenthari back, sending them stumbling. Adam stood firm by her side, his heart racing with every pulse of energy that surged through the bond. The enemy hesitated, stunned by the force of the child's power, but they quickly regrouped, determined to fight on. Suri stepped forward, her voice carrying across the battlefield. "Do not fear, my people. The child will protect us, and together we will fight for the future." Adam looked at Ilya, who was standing tall, her small figure glowing with strength. She was no longer just a child. She was a warrior, and the power inside her was a force that could change the course of the war. Adam had no doubt in his mind that, with Ilya's power and their bond, they could defeat the Xanthari and restore peace to the galaxy. The battle raged on, but Adam felt something deep within him, a sense of hope, a sense of purpose. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, he felt ready to face whatever came next. Together, with Ilya by his side, he knew they could build a new future, a future where peace was possible, where the stars themselves shone brightly with the promise of a better world.